Hey guys, what is up? Tag here from TagTeamGaming, bringing you another Overwatch video on one of my favorite heroes in Overwatch and my favorite Australian, Junkrat. Junkrat is a crazy mutant from all the way in Australia. He's a defensive hero with 200 HP, and he is the greatest hero to hold choke or important ground on the battlefield. Now let's go over his weapons and abilities. His primary weapon is his grenade launcher, which shoots out grenades in an arc, dealing 120 damage on direct impact, and less after it hits the ground. These grenades do not explode on a timer like regular grenades though, if it is not a direct hit. Instead, the grenades explode after their third bounce on the ground. These grenades can also bounce off walls and still hit for 120 damage. Now his first ability is his steel trap, and it is exactly what it sounds like. This is a trap that you can lay on the ground which remains stationary, and once an enemy hero steps over it or gets too close to it, it will activate, dealing very slight damage. I think it's about 30. However, it will trap the enemy hero in place for a few seconds. Once activated, there will be a marker above the location of the trap displaying the word triggered, showing an enemy has activated it. You can also only have one trap up at a time, so if one is already set up and you throw one down, the older of the two will disappear. Now Junkrat's second ability is his concussion mine. Now this is a very interesting ability because it can be used on enemies as well as himself. When used on enemies, the mine deals 120 damage to anyone in its radius when thrown out and detonated. It can also be placed on any surface and can be detonated at any time by using your right click by default on PC. Like the steel trap, only one concussion mine can be placed at a time. Now Junkrat can also use this mine to launch himself into the air for mobility use, but will not deal any damage to himself. This can get him to very interesting spamming spots and can also be used to run from battle or towards it. Now his ultimate lets Junkrat take the tire off his back and control it to guide it towards enemies, and you will be able to detonate it, dealing very high damage with a relatively big blast radius. This tire can climb walls while holding base bar by default on PC. However, the tire can also be destroyed by taking it down to 0 health from its starting 100 HP. Now, you also only have 10 seconds to control it, and if it hasn't been detonated or destroyed, it will blow up on its own. This tire can also deal self-damage, so watch out that you're not in the tire's blast radius. This ultimate also leaves Junkrat vulnerable where you release the tire, and you will be unable to control Junkrat unless the tire has been detonated or destroyed, which makes you very easy to kill. Now, the final thing to talk about with Junkrat is his passive ability. On death, Junkrat releases 5 of his fragment grenades where he died, dealing damage to any enemies standing near it. And you can actually see this ability come into play in one of the clips I played earlier in the video. Now Junkrat is great for area denial with all of his kit because he can spam out chokes with his grenade launcher and concussion mine, as well as hold flank routes with his steel trap. Spamming is one of Junkrat's main roles to make sure the enemies gain no ground on you. Junkrat's main focus are on stationary targets like Bastion and Torbjorn Sentry, as his arced grenades allow him to spam them from behind cover. Now he is also used for dealing tons of damage on Reinhardt's shield to break it down quickly, as well as taking down Roadhog, who is a tank with no shields, so he can deal enough damage to him quickly with no issues. He can also help stop flankers like Tracer and Genji with his steel trap to keep them still so you and your teammates have an easy kill on those squishy flankers. Now we can get onto some more tips for Junkrat. While spamming with your grenade launcher, always make sure to stay behind cover so you can deal damage to your enemies while they can't do anything to you. Always remember to use Junkrat's ultimate frequently while holding it because it charges very quickly, and this is something I'm very guilty of. I hold it too much and it just does not go to very good use. Also, remember, when using Junkrat's ultimate, activate it behind cover where your teammates are to protect yourself from the enemies while you are vulnerable. You can also use the tire's ability to climb walls to take alternate pathways to get to the enemies so they can't shoot you down before you detonate and kill their whole team. A great tip for Junkrat is to always set up your steel trap and concussion mine together before the match starts while on defense to unexpectedly kill those squishies instantly or deal a high damage to those big tanks at the start of the match while still having both of these abilities off of cooldown. Now, a big thing, I'm also guilty of this, to make sure always make sure your steel trap is up at all times, otherwise it is a big waste and it could be doing a lot more for your team. Remember to put steel traps in narrow doorways so that the enemies cannot avoid it unless it is destroyed, to make sure your enemies will have to walk into them. You can also detonate a concussion mine right after throwing it to push you and your enemy away from each other if you feel you need to gain a little distance between the two of you, maybe if you're losing a fight. If you're looking for the highest output damage, I have just the thing. Junkrat can deal a quick burst of damage by launching one grenade and then throwing out and detonating his concussion mine instantly for an instant 240 damage at close range, killing a lot of heroes in the game in less than a second. Lastly, you are the damage dealer of your team, so if you aren't doing enough damage, just change to a different hero. Now that really sums up everything I have to say about Junkrat, so remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.